He thought we were gone, but I've been wrong is back. I'm the commish, and I've been wrong before.
I'm Swam Easy, and I've been wrong before.
I'm the franchise. I'm always wrong.
Except when he's in first place.
And this thing keeps getting closer and closer
It's
to me.
inching closer.
It's inching closer.
3 past weeks, he's holding on to the lead.
It needs to dust this thing off before it comes to my house.
Well, sorry about that. Let's look at some notable action from Week 14 on the offensive side. We got Brandon Marshall, 21 receptions. You know, the Broncos kind of, you know, he said he'd give up a few of them for a win. But
yeah. You know, Brandon Marshall, you got to put him at one of the best receivers in the league. You know, I still think Fitzgerald, but Brandon started to show himself. I always thought he was good, but I didn't know he was that good.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the only thing with the Denver, too, though, that they would have had somebody else step up besides Brandon Marshall, they might have had a chance to win that game, considering.
when they have 25 receptions total or something like that.
Yeah.
Marshall had almost all of them.
He had 3/4 of those receptions.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
We also got Chris Johnson of the Titans with 3 touchdowns last week. Only 113 yards, only.
Only. But,
28 carries, I mean.
But with the exception of Vince Young coming up lane with nobody touching him, I mean, the Titans, they got good hope, man.
Yeah.
They got good hope. Yeah, I kind of hope they bring Young back, but, you know, it's a quarterback search.
Well, here's the thing, though. What helped Chris Johnson out in that game was that the Titans got ahead. They had all those turnovers that they collected. They let him run the ball. In a close game, they're going to be passing it with either Young or Collins.
Yeah, well, let's say with Keith Noll of the St. Louis Rams, I mean, making, you know, a 5th round pick, making your debut there, it's like he knew more Titans after the game than he knew the Rams.
Maybe he was confused.
He must have been something, I don't know.
On the defensive side, Monday night game, San Fran picking up 7 turnovers off the Cardinals.
I turned it off. I couldn't do it. I had Arizona, and I turned it off.
After the Cardinals looked so good a week before,
Yeah.
I figured it was going to be a blowout, but San Francisco whooped them up and down the field.
Out of our league, our Pick'em league, one person took San Fran. 1 out of 24 people. I don't know. And, you know, Warner's up and down.
He's so up and down. I think he needs to start doing Viagra commercials to stay more up. They might make me sick.
Well, I mean, they're the worst team that's in the, you know, winning their division right now at 8-5.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they went to the Super Bowl 8-8 last year.
Yeah, they're trying to get there again. The 8-8, maybe not the Super Bowl.
It'll be like the second team in history to go 8-8 to make the Super Bowl. I don't know.
And we also had another, you know, like I mentioned about the Titans game, 5 turnovers against the St. Losers, and that's to be expected. I don't know.
Yeah, St. Louis still talking about moving. I hope they do.
They need to move the ball. That's what
yeah. You know, I'm still rooting for them guys. I like Steven Jackson.
Yeah, I like Steven Jackson,
but
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. But,
well, let's get into Week 15, upcoming week, and we can look at some playoff things happening this week. You know, what's going to affect the playoffs. And right away, Thursday night, we got Indy in Jacksonville.
Indy putting all the starters in there. Indy's trying to go 16-0.
Well, I saw a stat where more teams were successful in the Super Bowl who did not sit their starters, who played out the season, who didn't rest their starters, and Indy kind of swayed that because they've always rested their starters, and they've only been successful there once.
Like to mention too, like you mentioned a couple weeks ago, that Indianapolis hates Jacksonville. They'd rather Tennessee get in there. They think, and you know, so they want to play them. You know, you never know what their mindset is.
Well, yeah, and Jacksonville's fighting for that wild card spot right now. You got Jacksonville. The Jaguars are 7-6 in the South, the same division as the Colts.
Yeah.
And there's 4 teams fighting for a wild card spot in that conference at 7-6.
Yeah.
You got the Dolphins, Jets, and Ravens and Jaguars all at 7-6 in the AFC. So, and that's with the Broncos at 8-5 ahead of everybody for the wild card spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Denver's sitting pretty right now.
I mean, Denver started out. We talked about it all through the beginning of the season. The Broncos aren't, you know, they really don't have a D. They haven't played anybody. Then they started playing people and beating them, and they seem to struggle the last 4 or 5 weeks.
They struggle against good teams.
Yeah.
But, you know, at home they play well. I think, you know, they hit that mid-season toughness, but they could hit their stride again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a good team with
All
Brandon
that,
Marshall.
yeah, it's like all that matters is who finishes the hottest right now, which
That's
is
right.
San Diego right now. They're on
San Diego
fire.
always finishes
San
hot.
Diego
Yeah.
is in December is strong. We got next. We got Big D, Big Double D.
Yeah, because I figured out what the Big D stands for. It means disaster in December. The Big Double D.
Well, Dallas is in New Orleans, and they can't bring a disaster into New Orleans. I hope.
Yeah.
You know, New Orleans is looking for that undefeated season. We talked about the Colts on Thursday, New Orleans on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in your article possibilities of two undefeated teams meeting in the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl, that would be major.
It would guarantee somebody having an undefeated season.
I bet Don Shula's sweating right now.
You won't be popping no bottles.
And it might as well be New Orleans that Wednesday. I mean, how would it be not even to go to the Super Bowl, and then the first one you win in an undefeated season would be great.
I wish they wasn't get Peyton Manning out there commercials. Give Drew Brees some commercials. Come on, Peyton. Come on.
And of course, the Colts and New Orleans have both clinched home field advantage, but Dallas is also fighting. They're in a wild card spot right now, but they have the Giants in their own division, one game behind them, looking for that wild card spot. And the Eagles are ahead of them by one game. So you got two games separating the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys in the NFC East, all looking to make the playoffs.
Let me say something about McNagless. They're starting to roll a little bit, incorporating Mike Vick in the red zone.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteeing him a touchdown
Yes.
in the red zone.
Yeah. Or in a third and
In a third down situation.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Mike Vick fan.
Yeah, and don't forget Mike can throw it. He's just been running the ball.
Yeah.
And you know, the Eagles got a lot up their sleeve that they can do with, and they're playing good offensively. Even though the Giants, gave them a test last week, the Eagles came back every time.
And those big plays too, though, the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson and Macklin, they can
Deshaun Jackson is a freak. He's like the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Moves I do on PlayStation is what he's doing on the field.
No more playmaker. We got the PlayStation. Another close. We got Arizona and Detroit, and I only want to talk about this game because of the spread. Detroit is getting 12, and they've been getting hammered. But what is Arizona going to do? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Who's going to show up? You can't beat somebody by two touchdowns if you're turning the ball over.
Is it in Arizona?
It's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit. Arizona should smoke them in Detroit.
Because they've been playing better away.
They play better away.
Yeah. And the only loss on the road to the Titans there.
Yeah.
And we got Atlanta in New York versus the Jets. And Atlanta was one of my playoff hopefuls, but they seem to have not been able to make it. And the Jets are in the playoff running. They're 7-6. They're one game behind the Patriots, who are winning that division.
Yeah.
And they got Miami on their heels at 7-6, or just ahead of them. So
that division's still wide open too.
Yeah.
The Jets, I believe they can do it. Even though Sanchez is hurting a little bit, he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
Well, and he was complaining about not starting, but he's got to learn to heal himself first, especially when you're in a playoff run and you're looking to get into the playoffs. They're going to need him in the playoffs.
Right.
And my character shirt will be
Yeah,
sweet. It's almost Christmas. I'm waiting for it. We got Miami and Tennessee.
Huge AFC. We'll need the
It's
Jets
big for
to lose
Miami.
too.
Like we talked about the Jets, they're right there with the Jets. And Monday Nighter, big division game, the Giants versus Washington. Like I said, the Giants, they're still in the hunt,
And they're starting to get that December. They're getting the running game back together.
The running game in the winter, and I picked on you about the Giants a couple weeks back,
And Manning is throwing accurate. It's just the boys ain't catching it.
Yeah. And with the Redskins too are playing tough for Jim Zorn. He won't be there next year. They're playing their heart out for him right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's not calling the plays, but hey.
Yeah.
We still love him.
Yeah. We're still looking for that defensive coordinator, so, defensive back.
Yeah.
Why don't you close us out, franchise?
All right. I want to mention, once again, Sports Nation, Michelle calling. I'm wearing new franchise glasses tonight, debuting them. So y'all need to do a poll on Sports Nation to find out which franchise glasses are better.
Please pick the less feminine one. We're out.
These were the women's section.
Peace.